Hello, everyone. Welcome to a virtual parent orientation Zoom call for our Student Services Group 1 tonight. I'd like to welcome all the parents that were able to join us today. As I always say in all of these Zoom calls, we would have loved to have been in person with you. Fortunately, we cannot, so we're trying this out. My name is Christy McNamara. I'm the Director in the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development and Education. So we have some wonderful people on the call tonight to answer some questions. And so really the idea for this Zoom call is that we hope that you were able to watch the videos on the parent orientation virtual, the website, all the different videos that we have for you. And the student services that we do have here tonight include our dining service, our OneCard, our student accessibility service, health service, info technology, financial aid, and bookstore. So that's our student service group of people. I do want to let you know we are recording this call because we were hoping to put all of on our website so that other family members and parents can view this at a later date. So I just want to kind of put it here so everybody is aware. We ask that you, for those of you that are joining us today, if you could add your name to the chat just so we can register you. What parents we do have here, and that would be awesome. So if you could just put your name in the chat, that would be great. Also, we have muted all of you just to make it easier. We're going to use the chat feature only tonight for questions. Questions that many of you asked in the registration form when you did register. So we will be doing some of those questions, and then as you think of some questions, feel free to add them to the chat, excuse me, and we will get to those as well. The chat feature, as you know, is at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so right now I would like just to go through and have our presenters introduce themselves, and they're going to be answering your questions today. So first up we have Caitlin.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Cooney and I work for Chartwells Higher Education as a district marketing manager. So I'll be here to answer all your dining needs.
Thank you. Next up is Susan.
Hi, my name is Susan Gilligan and I work for the OneCard office. The OneCard office is where you have your student ID picture taken. You want to take good care of it because it's good forever. You can put money on there to be used for food on campus or laundry or printing. And if you have any questions, please feel free to stop by our office or give us a call.
Great. And next up is Student Accessibility Services. Fran?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry,
Don't worry about it.
had a unmute. Hello, everyone. Congratulations, parents. We're, as Christy said, we're usually used to seeing you live and in person. So this is the best that we can do given the circumstances. I'm Fran Minacchio, Director of Student Accessibility Services.
Thank you, Fran. And next, Health Services.
Hi, so I also welcome the parents. My name's Lisa Gamari. I'm one of the nurse practitioners in health services.
Terrific. And next up is Information Technologies.
Good evening. I'm Ed Crowley. I'm a staff associate for end user support.
Terrific. And Financial Aid.
Hi, my name is Jennifer English. I'm the Associate Director of Financial Aid here at Worcester State.
Terrific. And last but certainly not least, our Follett Bookstore.
My name is Sean Cook and I'm your bookstore manager, Follett Higher Education Group.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And our last but not least, we do have another person joining us, which is our question moderator.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josh Katz. I'm the Associate Director of Community Standards, and I also work with the orientation program.
All right. So that's our cast of characters tonight. So as I mentioned, many of you had put in questions when you registered for these programs. So we are going to start with those questions and then later on move to the chat. Please feel free, like I said, to enter anything in the chat that you're interested in asking. And at the end of this program, I will go over what we're looking at for first year orientation for your students. So I can give you a little bit of information about that as well. Okay. So let's start. How about with dining services?
All right, Caitlin, we had some questions submitted for you. First question is, can you please explain the differences in the meal plans?
Yeah, so for resident students coming to live on campus, we have a variety of meal plans for them to choose from, and they all come with meal swipes and dining dollars that you can use each semester. So a meal swipe is what would be used in a resident dining hall, Sheehan, and then dining dollars are what's used across campus and all of our other retail locations, such as coffee shops or C-stores, things along those lines. So really the difference in the meal plan is how many meal swipes you get and how many dining dollars you get. And I like to tell people, you know, you want to think about your son or daughter and what their meal habits are. If they're, you know, not really breakfast eaters, they're more on the, you know, I want to just have a granola bar or I just usually skip breakfast, then you definitely want to get one of the ones that has the lesser meals and maybe more of the dining dollars, because that'll give them the availability too if they don't have those items in their room to just grab them along the way. So those are really the big differences. Other than that, it's really about choosing the plan that works best for your son or daughter in terms of how often they eat.
So you kind of touched upon it a little bit, but one of the questions specifically was, what meal plan do you recommend for first-year students?
So the Grand 225 is the most popular meal plan, and that comes with 225 swipes a semester. So that comes out to about 15, 16 a week. And then it also comes with 425 dining dollars. Students will, you know, learn as time goes on. Dining dollars are probably their best friends. They love to have more dining dollars and flexibility with also going to the dining hall. So that is why that's really our popular plan. And then I would say after that, of the Platinum 250, if, you know, your son or daughter really does eat 3 meals a day and they're frequently visiting the dining hall, that pretty much covers every meal throughout the full semester within the dining hall, plus just having the additional items for them to, you know, grab in retail every once in a while. But I would say Grand 225, definitely the most popular among all the students on campus.
And our last pre-submitted question, Caitlin, is what do you offer for students on campus when school is closed, say for inclement weather?
So when it comes to inclement weather, our, you know, priority is to feed the students as well as, you know, make sure our associates are safe. So we don't open every dining location on campus, especially with, you know, faculty, staff not coming to campus, commuters, there is less population. What we've typically done in the past is we've had our main dining hall open on a weekend schedule. So it's really brunch and dinner. And then we'll keep our late night location open called Lancer's Loft for dining later in the night, as well as the C-store. Hours might flex a little bit in the 2 retail locations, but they're still always usually available.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we have questions for the OneCard. Susan, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, Susan, what does my student use their OneCard for?
Well, there's many things. If you're a resident on campus, it is actually the key to your room and your building. It allows you to do laundry and put money on your funds to do laundry. You have your meal plan on there. If you're a commuter, that's going to be used for the commuter meal plan, which is also on there. Every student gets free printing, so you want to have your card to get that. It's really called the OneCard because it's needed for everywhere on campus, and especially to get your free gym membership.
All right, and the second question was, does the OneCard give us discounts anywhere?
It does. Any place that a student discount is offered, you just show them your OneCard. It's going to say Worcester State, show your picture on there, your student ID number on there, and it's good. There's no expiration date or anything on there, so any place that does take an acceptable picture, student ID for discounts, will accept that.
All right, thank you very much, Susan.
You're welcome.
All right, next up, Fran, we have some questions for you. First question is, what documentation do I need to provide so my student can continue to get services at Worcester State?
Thanks, Josh, for the question. When our office is the office that evaluates and determines accommodations for students with a wide range of conditions or disabilities, documentation varies according to the type of condition or disability that your child has. We have a documentation checklist that will be sent to students as part of the registration process, and that will answer specific questions regarding documentation according to the student's diagnosis.
All right, thank you. Second question is, how have supports continued as classes have moved online for COVID-19?
Great question. We're providing, it's been a seamless transition in terms of providing ongoing support to students who are registered with us. We're just doing it virtually, either Zoom meetings or by phone or Google Hangouts. So many of our students receive academic coaching on a weekly basis. So instead of meeting face-to-face in our office on campus, we've been meeting via Zoom, phone, or Google Chats. We're also conducting intakes in that manner and dealing with student issues and concerns.
Fran, how does support look different from high school as my student prepares for college?
Fabulous questions. There are some significant differences between high school and college. In high school, a student may have accommodations that diminishes the amount of work that they do compared to their peers. That doesn't exist in college. So every student who's in class, whether or not they have accommodations, is expected to achieve the same student learning outcomes. If your child was involved in an academic support class that focused on maybe some extra help or organization, time management, we don't have that in a classroom setting. We offer some of those services and supports through our office.
All right, and Fran, last question is for students with 504 plans, how can we set up tutoring prior to the start of school?
Okay, so that's two questions in one. So I'll start with the first. 504 plans end at grade 4. 504 plans end at grade 12. So some of you parents may have some misinformation about that just carries over to college. And so that's a myth I'd like to end right here and now. If a student would like accommodations in college, they have to go through our office, and then we have a different process that is far more confidential. So 504 plan ends when your child graduates. New process begins in college. We do not have as an accommodation tutoring, but tutoring is offered various places on campus. There's math tutoring, for example, there's a writing center, and there is some peer tutoring offered through Academic Success Center. And as I mentioned, we do academic coaching through our office, which is not course content specific tutoring.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, Lisa. If my student is seen, are the test results or results of the visit sent to the primary care physician?
Hi. So we can send lab results or documentation of your son or daughter's visit to health services. We don't automatically forward that information. So your child would have to sign a medical information release form and then just advise us where they would want the information to go. So they would have to request that information.
All right, thank you. Next up, Ed.
Thank you.
Ed, would you recommend an Apple or a Dell for an English/journalism major?
You can't go wrong with either of them. That program is relatively flexible. As long as the computer has MS Office installed on it or in the Apple variant of WordPress, you should be all set.
All right, and the next question is, can students check out a laptop if they need one versus buying one?
That's a little bit more of a complicated question, just because I don't have an accurate answer as of right now. I know it's been an ongoing process with everyone going mobile. It's renewed the conversation of our policy, our current policy. As it stands right now, it's students have to purchase their own laptops. but that might change in the foreseeable future. I don't know when. Again, it's currently being reviewed. I don't have a timeline on that. Something like that would have to be followed up maybe about a month or so before I can actually give an honest answer.
All right, thank you very much, Ed. Jennifer,
Hey.
can my financial aid package change from year to year?
Yes, it can. The financial aid application process is an annual process. So a student and their family does need to complete a new FAFSA for the new academic year. I always tell them they should fill it out around Halloween. It's a nice, scary time of year, and it's a nice, scary form to fill out. But so we do get that brand new information. If your income, either your parents or your own income, the student's income changes, that can have an effect on the student's future financial aid. So yes, it can change from year to year.
And another question for you is, how does a student get a work-study job?
Sure. Work study is an award that will be viewable on a student's award notification that they find on their self-service portal. First off, they need to accept or decline their work study. And if they accept it, they will be notified. I believe our target is the end of July for sending out an email to the students, informing them that the process is ready. There will be a portal on our HR website that students can go to, view all the jobs that are available. And they actually need to do the application process themselves when prompted. And they might need to go through an interview process, that sort of thing. But basically, if a student is offered work study, accepts their work study, they'll get an email. So they should just pretty much keep an eye out on their worcester.edu email address for that email around the end of July.
Thank you very much. Next is for Sean.
Yes.
Sean, is there any way to order Worcester State University apparel online?
Yes, of course. We have tons of clothing online, all the way from gift items to clothing items. And we also have custom items. So you can customize shirts like sweaters, soccer shirts, jackets, and it's all online.
All right. And next, do you buy books back at the end of each year?
And after each semester, we do buy books back, and we pay 50% of the new price, as long as it's being used for the next semester. If not, then we do offer a wholesale price.
All right. Thank you. Christy, those are all the pre-submitted questions that we have.
Okay, so thank you everyone for answering those. So Josh is going to look now to the chat to start going through the questions. Again, if anybody has questions along the way that they want to add to the chat, please feel free. We can stay here all night. No, I'm kidding. But we do usually get a lot of questions as people are talking, because they start to think about new ones. So please feel free to do that. And I'm going to hit it over to Josh again to go through the questions in the chat.
This will be a short one. Currently, there are no questions in the chat.
Nobody has any questions to put in the chat, huh? Interesting. We'll give it a minute. Oh, look, maybe somebody.
Yep. Sean, when are books available for purchase?
Normally, especially for the fall, about 2-3 weeks before classes start, all the books should be in. I do suggest that once you get your schedule, if you go onto our website and you bring up your course, if it says no information, sign up, because it will send you an email when that information is available, and that will cut down some time. Plus, it will give you the opportunity to get the used books before anyone else. But that's probably the best time, about 2 to 3 weeks before classes.
Thank you. That's
Any
it.
other questions? So just one side note, and maybe as I'm talking, again, more questions will pop up. One of the things that I've been saying to all the parents and family members that have been joining us over the last week for these calls is we we as a university are really still working out our plans in relation to COVID-19. Everybody on this call will probably tell you they're on one committee or another in relation to really planning to open this fall and coming up with all sorts of plans. You know, I think it's so important to reassure you that we are working practically day and night to come up with great plans for opening, and I really kind of want to reassure parents, and eventually we will reassure students at orientation about that. I know Lisa in particular is on probably meetings all day, every day regarding COVID-19. And so I think it's just something that we're all working toward because we really care about your students as well as the faculty and staff here and our safety as well. So that's something that I just like to put out on each call because I think that's super important. Josh, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Wow, quiet group today. That's okay though, it's okay. So let me quickly go through what we're looking at for orientation for your first year student. Again, if you think of questions along the way, feel free to add them to the chat. So I actually just got approval today, believe it or not, a while ago, to officially announce that we are moving to a virtual program for first year orientation. So what does that mean? So typically we do in-person programs in June, and all the wonderful people that are on this call right now, I force them to come into orientation. No, I'm just kidding. And talk to students in various different sessions. We are taking that model, we're taking the in-person part of it out, and we are going to develop an online orientation program that will start at the end of July and go through the middle of August. And it will encompass videos just like you've watched, as well as Zoom meetings with orientation leaders once a week. So we are actually, Josh and I, as well as the rest of my staff, are putting together the details for that program as we speak. And starting next week, we will be mailing out the registration information to your student at their home address. So please have them keep an eye on the mail, as well as we will also be emailing them all the information too about online orientation. So we're really trying hard to put all that we usually do in June into an online format. And I think it will be, I think it's going to be pretty comprehensive. It will be all themed weeks. For instance, one week will be academics, another wellness, another responsible campus, and ending with next steps for fall. So we are putting a lot of thought in that. There will be an opportunity to hopefully meet with some faculty, as well as the folks that are on this call, as well as many other folks. And the most important thing I think of orientation is peer-to-peer interaction. So they will be able to meet other students, new students that are coming in, as well as orientation leaders. That's you know, the piece that's my favorite of the in-person orientation, and we are going to try to replicate as much as we can that in an online experience. So please have them, your student keep an eye, like I said, on the mail as well as their email. If you have any questions between now and the start of school, or your student does, you can feel free to call us in the office. We do still answer the phone, 508-929-8615, or you can email us at orientation@worcester.edu, and we will be updating our orientation website on a regular basis with new information.
Christy, we do have two questions that came in.
I knew it. I knew it.
First question is, some friends have been getting notice of shortened semesters. Would we be able to adjust meal plans if this happens? Caitlin, maybe?
I guess further information on what you mean by adjust.
Kristen, do you have any further what you mean by adjusting?
Maybe she means if the semester stops shorter.
If we purchase a larger plan and school ends in November, could we roll over remaining meals?
I might actually have to, Christy, defer that one to you, because it's not exactly sure.
So I'm not sure what this particular semester. I don't know if there was a refund. Josh, you might even know that part
Yeah,
of it.
they did prorate the meal plan and get whatever we use back.
Okay.
No, traditionally meals don't roll over. I would
Mhm.
assume that the dining dollars may, but I don't think the meals would roll over because they usually end at the week.
Yeah.
Another question is regarding your planning for COVID-19. What is the date the university is planning to have their approach finalized?
It's a great question. That's a great question. I am not aware of a date as far as I know at this moment. I know we have been focusing on whatever the governor puts out every week, as well as working with the other state universities to come up with similar plans. So I don't believe there's an exact date. I think hopefully in June is what we're looking at. July, but there is no specific date that we have been given as faculty and staff. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on the call, in case I'm not in the loop, but I would assume it would have come out in mass email, and I did not see that in particular.
And that is all that we have in the chat.
Okay, so enough from me. Let's introduce some presenters. So first up is Chartwells. Uh-oh, poor Caitlin, she's muted.
I was like, I'm muted.
Sorry about that. Sorry
No,
about
that's
that.
okay. It's okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Cooney. I work for Chartwells Higher Education, your dining program on campus.
Okay, next up is OneCard.
Hi, I'm Susan Gilligan with the OneCard office.
Okay, next up is Student Accessibility Services.
Okay,
Sharon.
thanks for
Sorry.
unmuting me. I'm Sharon DeClerc. I am the Assistant Director of Student Accessibility Services.
Okay, next up is Health Services.
Hi, I'm Lisa Gamar. I'm one of the nurse practitioners in health services.
Okay, and next up is Information Technologies.
Hi, I'm Ed Crowley. I'm a staff associate for end user support.
And next is Financial Aid.
Hi, I'm Jen English. I'm the Associate Director of Financial Aid here at Worcester State.
And last but certainly not least, although happens to always fall at the end of the list of folks I know, is the Bookstore.
Hi, I'm John Cook. I'm your bookstore manager for Higher Education Group.
All right, thanks everyone. And of course, last but not least is our question moderator for the evening.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Patrikis. I'm an Assistant Director in the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development.
Right, so that's our cast of characters, as I like to say each week. Just a couple of questions, a couple of points, just remember, chat questions in the chat feature. We also, if you have any personal questions, we're happy to direct you to the appropriate person at a later time if it's something that's a little bit more on the personal side. So just an FYI on that. And I will go over really briefly because I believe Scott and Alicia have already heard me probably twice talk about first year orientation, but I will mention it at the end of this call as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to start with our presenter questions.
Yes, so we are going to get started with Chartwells Dining. So Caitlin, these questions are going to be for you. First, what meal plan do you recommend for first year students?
So we find our most popular meal plan on campus is the Grand 225. And that really gives students the ability to have a good mix of going to Sheehan Hall, which is our resident dining hall during the week, as well as have a good portion of dining dollars to use around campus in our retail locations. So I would say that one is definitely our most popular one that we would suggest. And then if your son or daughter is, really looking to go to the dining hall all the time and have less dining dollars, then I would say the Platinum 250 really gives them the ability to go to every meal period in the dining room.
And kind of within that same vein, can you explain the differences in meal plans? So maybe like meal swipes, dining dollars, all of that.
Yep. So every meal plan comes with meal swipes and dining dollars. So how a meal swipe works is that would be what you're using at Sheehan Hall, the resident dining hall. And you go in, you swipe, and then it's an all you care to eat facility. And, you do things however often as you, go to the different stations and things along those lines. The dining dollars are what we like to call just just money, just like cash that would have on your normal debit card. It's loaded onto your student's ID card. When they go to the different retail locations, they would swipe that card and it would subtract the dollar amount. So if they spent, you know, $5.50 on a sandwich and a drink, it would just subtract that from the total. They do get those dining dollars each semester, as well as the number of meal swipes, but neither of those will carry over into the following semester. So if you want to tell them to be a little cautious that they don't leave too many leaving or hanging around.
Great. What do you offer for students on campus when inclement weather closes the school?
Yeah, so feeding students on campus and then the safety of our associates really are two number one priorities, or number one and number two priority when we're on campus during inclement weather. So Sheehan Hall usually moves to a weekend schedule, so it's more of a brunch and dinner schedule as opposed to the 3 meals a day. And then we limit the retail locations open since the population on campus is lower with less faculty staff and no commuters. And we'll have the C-store that's available on campus open with limited hours, as well as our late night dining location open with a little bit more limited hours.
Great. And we did actually have a question come in that is related to Chartwells. So how long is the semester and when will they be using the meal plan? So what's kind of the expected first date when they can use it and when can they use their meal plan up until?
So I don't know the date off the top of my head. Whenever the school reconvenes, so when students move in is usually when their meal plan starts, and then typically the move out day or the last day of finals is when it ends. But the exact dates, I don't have those for you.
Mm-hmm. And also another one came in related to food service. Will there be changes to dining plans if CDC guidelines restrict access to the dining halls?
Yeah, so our team is working as Chartwells Higher Education. We're working very diligently on providing, you know, all the resources that we can to each of our campuses across the country in terms of COVID. So the team that's, you know, that is here for the summer is, you know, working, trying to figure out what operations do look like as the college, you know, and the university releases more information on what the semester looks like, more dining information will come out. So things will be altered. I can't actually say what they'll be altered to yet, but we are, you know, diving right into it and trying to figure that out, just like everyone else across the country.
Awesome, thank you. So our next batch of questions is OneCard related. So Susan, our first question, what can my student use their OneCard for?
Well, it's really called the OneCard because this OneCard gives you access to your room, your building, your meal plan. We upload printing funds for you of $20 free each semester. And laundry. Laundry, you have to add the common funds on there yourself. You can go online and add it. You can come to our office. We have CNC machines on campus. It's the OneCard for everything.
Great. And does the OneCard offer student discounts anywhere?
It does for anywhere that says, you know, student discounts or senior prices, whatever. Just show your ID and you'll get that price.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next batch, student accessibility services. So Sharon, what documentation do I need to provide so my student can continue to get services while at Worcester State? She's muted, Christy.
Sorry about that, Sharon. I don't know why you keep going remuted. Poor Sharon. I really like her too. Not working. There we go.
That was my fault. I'm sorry about that.
Sharon, you're fighting me on the mute. Okay.
Yeah. So that was my fault. So would you repeat that question? I'm really sorry.
Of course, no, it's fine. What documentation do I need to provide so my student can continue to get services while at Worcester State?
So documentation varies depending on the diagnosis. We have documentation guidelines that we're happy to send out to parents and students. So all that you would need to do is contact our office at sas@worcester.edu and we could send you those documentation.
And I will plug that email address into the
IEPs and 504 plan. Oh, thank you. IEPs and 504 plans are not considered documentation. The testing that was done to create those plans is considered documentation.
How has support continued as classes moved online during COVID-19?
So support continued. Any students, one of the things that we offer to students when they request is we offer to meet with them for what we call academic coaching, helping with organization, time management, study skills, problem solving. So we offered to just change that to remote meetings. So we continued meeting with the students. We reached out to all of the students. There were quite a few students that we have with hearing impairments. We ended up, because the classrooms went remote, we ended up having to then shift to, we ended up having to shift to closed captioning. So we worked with some vendors to make sure that that happened as well.
Great. How does support look different from high school as my student prepares for college?
So there's a lot of differences between high school and college. Some of the same laws apply, but the main difference in my mind when I think about it is that in the K-12 environment, curriculum can be modified. So for example, a student might have 25 math problems, and in K-12, they're in the last year of high school and they only have to do half of those problems. Modifications to the curriculum is not something that happens in higher education. So we don't change the number of problems that a student is assigned in math. We don't shorten the version of an exam. We wouldn't change the books that a student is reading. So those are the main, I would say that's the main difference. Anything that would fundamentally alter the course or the program of study is not considered an accommodation in higher ed.
Great. When meeting with academics for students with 504 plans, how can we set up tutoring before school starts?
So I had mentioned earlier that we do academic coaching, which is not content-based, right? So we wouldn't be able to tutor your son or daughter in psychology, for example, but the Academic Success Center will have a list of courses and tutors available for those courses. There's also a math tutoring center, and there is a writing center on campus. You wouldn't arrange for that ahead of time. They have hours that they're open, and they post that and they inform all the students of when that is, and then the student would go in to meet with the tutors in those areas. If a student wanted to work with us for academic coaching while I'm doing intakes with incoming students, that's one of the things that I talk with them about, and we put them on a list for the fall to work with one of the staff in our office for weekly half-hour academic coaching appointments.
And one question did come in. Are you familiar with a Livescribe Pen? And what do you need documented to be allowed access to this in class?
So we are familiar with the Livescribe Pen, and there are some students who use that. There are also students that use apps that are kind of similar to Livescribe with their computer. We would need to review documentation, and whenever there's a particular accommodation, what we need to be able to see is that the symptoms of the disability impact the student in such a way. So in this case, the symptoms of the disability impacts the student's ability to sufficiently take notes during class so that they're using the Livescribe to record the class as they're taking notes. So I can't say, it's not like you can say, well, you have ADHD, so you get these accommodations, you have dyslexia, you get these. It really depends on the way that the disability impacts the student educationally.
Thank you. We have a question related to health services. So Lisa, if my student is seen, are test results forwarded to the PCP? You might need to unmute her.
Oh, she went mute too. Sorry, Lisa.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
And all right, good, thank you. So when your son or daughter comes into health services, our notes and any type of lab results, we don't automatically forward those to your primary care provider. Your child would have to sign a medical information release form, and then we would forward it. We would forward that whatever information that they wanted to your PCP.
Great. Next up, we have information technology, so Ed. Would you recommend an Apple or Dell computer for an English journalism major?
Realistically, either laptop brand will do, as long as it has a word processor, it can connect to the internet, and it has the latest version of the operating system associated with it. If there's any programs that are needed that aren't available for the platform, we do have remote services that are available.
Great. And can students check out a laptop when they need a computer rather than purchasing one?
So that's kind of a policy that's in flux right now. I can only comment that as of right now, the policy is that students would have to provide their own laptops, and we don't have any that are available. We do have labs. We do have at least 2 open labs on campus that are available as long as the building is open. But at some point, that policy is going to be reviewed as we move more towards a more flexible mobile environment. So that might be a question that might be asked better asked maybe a month down the road when we have a better idea.
Okay. We did have an IT related question come in. So it was, is Google Docs not sufficient or enough? Will Microsoft Word or equivalent be needed for some or most classes? So if you want to talk a little bit about the difference between the 2 services, if one is preferable over the other, so on.
Well, for personal usage or personal experience rather, I'm always going to pick MS Word over Google Docs. There's nothing fundamentally different between the two. It's just more preference on my side. As long as the students save the documents as a docx, then this way it'll satisfy the professor's need to have it open within Word. If you're going to something a little bit more advanced, there might be some features that are available for MS Word that aren't in Google Docs. Definitely something that's going to have to be program specific.
Okay, and if correct me if I'm wrong, but Worcester State does offer a download of the Microsoft Suite, correct, for students?
Yep, 5 free licenses that are available. It doesn't have to be on a laptop that we distribute or purchase through our program. As long as the student signs in to the program, to the MS Office Suite, it'll just grab one of the available licenses and then just apply it to the computer.
Great. And people are excited about free Word, so good job.
Who isn't?
That's what I use, so it's fine. Do you have a recommendation on a computer for computer science? Is one preferable over the other?
That program, I'm still kind of in computer science. That one tends to lead more towards the Windows operating system than the Mac environment. You can't go wrong with either, but some of the software is available. Some of the software that they use in the comp sci program is only available on Windows. For Mac, they may have to find an alternative, but of course the faculty do know alternatives that are available.
Yeah, I would say from working with CS students, most of them I think have PCs, but reaching out to faculty, they'll be able to recommend for that program. Next up, we have financial aid. So Jen, can our financial aid package change from year to year?
Oh, yes, it can. So the financial aid process is an annual process. So what we do is we package a student per academic year. So a student and family does need to complete a FAFSA for every academic year they intend to attend. I always recommend to students and families that it's kind of a scary form. So it's a perfect form to complete on Halloween every year. You'd be completing it for the following academic year, because that's right around the time when it's released to due. And it's right around the time that we in the financial aid office start reviewing for the following academic year. So doing it, say, around Halloween or around, somewhere between Halloween and the new year is a great time of year to be completing the FAFSA. And then we'll spend the spring reviewing, perhaps requesting additional information. And then at this time of year, June is when we send out our returning student award letters. So for those students who are going to be freshmen this year, they might have received their financial aid award notice much earlier. But for returning students, they won't receive it until after spring grades are in. So right around this time of year.
Great. Mm-hmm. How does my student get work-study jobs on campus?
Okay, so work-study is a financial aid program. If a student is eligible for work-study based upon their financial aid their FAFSA information, it will be part of their offer. They do need to accept that offer. And what they also need to do is pay attention to their worcester.edu email address around the end of July, because what we'll do is once we know all of the students that are going to be working for the following academic year, we'll send out an employment information email to the student around the end of July and open up the application period at that time. They'll be directed to an online section of our worcester.edu website where they can pick and choose their jobs, they can apply for their jobs. Oftentimes they may have to go through an interview process and a hiring process with their job that they get. If a student did not receive work study as part of their financial aid package, it does not mean that they can't work on campus. If you visit the worcester.edu website, down at the bottom is the careers button. Don't be shocked. It's all of the jobs that are on campus. If they scroll down to the bottom, there's a heading for students. They can take a look on there. There's oftentimes a whole lot of different jobs that are on there that are posted. I always see that the Chandler, our mascot, is always posted under those student jobs. So if a student wants a job, I keep telling them to apply to be that mascot. But anyway, so that's how they get a job on campus.
We did have a question come in through the chat. So are any of the institutional scholarships posted on Worcester State's website open to incoming first-year students?
They are. It is a live, our scholarship listing is a live document. So that means that if there are any available at the time, a student can apply. I do have to say that typically applications are due right around tax day, so right around April 15th. We did extend that deadline for this year, but it is past at this point. The scholarship committee is actually in the process of meeting right now to award those scholarships for the upcoming academic year. So you do want to kind of encourage your student to take a look in early springtime for those scholarships. But several of them are available to incoming students. They all have different criteria, so a student may have to kind of take a look through them to decide which ones to apply for.
And last but certainly not least, the bookstore. So Sean, is there a way to order Worcester State apparel online? The important question we all need to sweat.
Of course. Yes. Everything we carry in store, we do carry online, and we also even have online a custom site where you can go in and add certain things on a sweatshirt, like, soccer, and put your son's name and so on and so on. So definitely anything in the store we have on the site. You can have it shipped to your home for a small shipping fee, or you can have for in-store pickup for free.
Great. And do you buy students' books back at the end of the semester?
Every semester, we do buy books back from the students. We pay 50% of the new price as long as it's being used for the next semester and it's in good working quality condition. And if not, then there's a wholesale price and we pay that and then ship it to a wholesale company.
Great. So that is our list of pre-asked questions. I did see that one question came in, but it looked like it was answered about OneCard. So the replacement cost for a lost OneCard is $25. So thank you, Carol, for answering that in the chat. I don't know if you have any other questions for any of our student service reps. No, I kind of went through them as we went through the chat. Oh, good question. When will they get their OneCard?
The OneCard is issued as soon as you come on campus when your picture is taken, and pending whether we give them out at that particular time or we ask you to come back, usually it's right at that moment. Was I muted?
Nope, that was good.
Okay.
Typically, too, we give them out at orientation when orientation's in June. Obviously, that's not happening this year, so we are going to be working with OneCard to figure out a good system as well to help them out. Okay. Oh, another question, Sarah?
Nope, just the confirming about the OneCard.
Fantastic. All right, so think about if you have any more questions. I'm just going to go really quickly, as you already know, but I'm going to do it again. Some information for first year orientation, which will be moving to an online format this year.